What is good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kumo, back again with another video on Cassette Music Academy. Please likewise comment down below if you have any kind of questions or even recommendations. Like this video and share this video with people who love to see this kind of music. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually properly and also how to apply arrangement techniques in your music. Now, according to me, this thing is pretty much the hardest, but when coming to arrangement, yeah, it's something that's really difficult, but there are steps to it that I actually use. Pretty much some things like formulas and pretty much a way that I actually use to make arrangement seem a little bit more easier to do. But before that, we need to understand what arrangement is. Now, when coming to arrangement, you need to understand that you're not only just arranging a song, but you're actually telling a story. Now, I'm going to use a book as an example. You're given a book. In that book, about the 2 or 3 first pages, you are given chapters, right? This is pretty much the very same thing in music. Like, as you can see here, I've got timestamps from intro, pre-hook, and bridge, and so on. So this is pretty much the very same thing as in a book. You are pretty much given terms of the things that you're going to be learning in a book. So pretty much, I would say chapters in a book. Now, I'm going to play this track. In the comment section, I'm going to need you guys to actually tell me how this song sounds and how, whether you love it or not, and tell me your thoughts about this track. And nonetheless, please also listen to how the track is properly arranged. I'm going to play pretty much the full track, and then yeah. Right, so now that you basically have heard the track on how it sounds, we can pretty much start to break down the track and how I achieved some of the stuff that I actually used and made. Alright, now that you pretty much have heard the track and how it pretty much sounds, I'm going to start to break down what I actually did to the track and how I pretty much made some sounds be like they are and how I actually achieved some of the stuff I actually did here. In the intro, we pretty much have running hi-hat, and we also have a marimba that pretty much just wants to tell you that, hey, this track is actually good. And we also have a atmosphere that I actually made from Serum. I actually automated the master tuning. Pretty much, this is pretty much the what is this thing right here. If I can just press a note on my keyboard, and then this is the pitch bend. I actually just recorded that live and then it made this automation live. So pretty much during this part right here in the note, it's going to go up and down, and pretty much that's how it's going to be sounding. As you can hear, it's pretty much rising and going down. We also have transitions. Pretty much this is actually a sound that I took from Spiracu's music. This is actually a preset from Spiracu's music that I actually used in this track, and it sounds like this. I think most of you guys know the sound. So these simple and small sounds, they make a huge difference in your music, and I pretty much recommend you add these types of sound. This is the automation clip for our arpeggiator. So if I would to solo these, so yeah. Now what I make sure you're doing here is telling the listener that, hey, there's something that's coming in. And the only reason why I didn't put this ARP right here is that it kind of sounds a bit awkward. And then coming to the pre-hook, this is pretty much where we tell the listener that, okay, something is about to drop, and this is where the song is going to get a little bit more interesting. And some of the elements that make a pre-hook is actually this sound right here. So on the pre-hook, this is pretty much where we tell a listener that something big is about to happen later on in the song, or in about a few bars in a song. This is just to prepare the listener that something is coming up, and this is where the wonder magic happens of like, hey, what's happening? This is pretty much where our story begins, right? So 24 bar loop right here on the hook. So for 24 bars, you get to tell what the story is about, what the song is about, right? And what's actually happening in the song. So for 24 bars, you need to already be making something out of your song. And yeah, so another thing that I'm also going to give you as a tip, try to create variation in your song. The original pattern for the bass is actually this one right here, and actually took this part right here. After taking it, I actually cut it. I actually made a cut, and then I used the original one. That's pretty much how I recommend you guys to actually do some of the things inside of your music. It makes the arrangement a bit more interesting and also creates variation in your track. The second thing is that after about 8 bars in the pre-hook, we start to introduce the sound. So yeah, and as you can notice, I actually made an automation clip of the frequency, pretty much the cut off. So I also recommend you guys to also be relative and also be common with the sound design language. You're also going to be needing it in your full-time music journey. Do not add sounds at the very same time. Each sound needs to have its own time to play and its own time to be ending. On the bridge, this is where we come down. As you can hear, there is no instrument at all. So in the bridge, I recommend taking out all of your sounds. On the build-up side, this is pretty much where we try and make the listener know that, hey, this is where we need the energy. This is pretty much where we bring up the energy inside of a track. In the energy side, I'm going to start to bring up the arpeggiator, and the arpeggiator normally has an automation. Like I said, I did do a little bit of automations, and if I were to play it in solo and then open up the source plugin and go back to the arrangement track, you're gonna actually see that white line right there is actually being automated by this cut off knob right here. And as you can hear, it's starting to get a little bit more exciting and fun. We also try and get in some open hi-hats. And notice that the open hi-hats are actually panned from left to the right. So yeah, and another thing that we also need to add when making a build-up is to also add hi-hats. In the hi-hats, we also add the sound. And all in context, this is how it sounds. And last but not least, we need to have something that's going to be our main sound. That's actually telling the listener that it's time to energize it. Using this preset that I actually made. And notice that now on the drop side, before it hits, we usually have this kind of pause where pretty much it tells us that, hey, in 3, 2, 1, it's time to drop. This is pretty much the conclusion side of a track. And why am I saying the conclusion? This is pretty much where you actually reveal what you were trying to tell all along inside of your track. You can pretty much add as many elements as you want. Just make sure it makes sense and that you're not over adding. Going on to the climax. The climax, this is where we start to build up relationship for the very last time until the song is going to be going to an end. This is pretty much where we say our last goodbyes to our listener. That being said, we are also using our saw pad used in our build-up team. And so on the climax side, for 32 bars, you get to review everything that you basically ever wanted the listener to know, and also you're making the last goodbye. And then finally, going to the outro. This is where we calm down and we basically pause forever. On the outro side, you can remove as many elements as you want. Just make sure that it's not as harsh. And then what do I mean when I say not that harsh? Now imagine if I would take out the bass and just leave it as it is, and also just try and remove this running hi-hat, and also let me see what else we can remove. Let's remove that. Now please notice that it gets a bit dry and kind of like it's ending off quite fast. It's not exciting as it sounds, but when I put it back, it adds more energy. And after about 8 bars, we actually get to a point where we remove the hi-hat. Then try to remove the kick for about 4 bars or actually 8 bars. makes it interesting in a way that you pretty much just know what you're doing. This is a properly arranged melodic techno track that was produced fully by me. It hasn't been mixed or anything. So yeah, that was Cassette Music Academy. Thank you for tuning into my video. Please consider liking and subscribing to this video. And without wasting any more of your time, peace out. Yeah, that was pretty much the outro for the song called We Green. It's going to be coming out in 2025 next year. So